Hello friends, welcome back to RGM English Literature and Language. Today in this video we will talk about a great philosopher Aristotle's The Theory of Imitation according to the point of view of UGC NET set. Aristotle was Greek philosopher and a polymath during the classical period in ancient Greece. Taught by Plato, he was the founder of Lyceum, the peripatetic school of philosophy, and the Aristotelian tradition. His writing covers many subjects including physics, biology, zoology, metaphysics, logic, ethics, aesthetics, poetry, theatre, music, rhetoric, psychology, linguistics, economics, politics, and government also. Aristotle provided a complex synthesis of the various philosophies existing prior to him. It is worthwhile to note that unlike modern theatre, ancient Greek theatre was religious. Plays were performed only during festivals, a time when society communicated with its ancestors and gods. This choice of timing influenced the nature of theatrical performances and the techniques of presentation. For instance, Greek theatre not only grew out of dance, it also retained dance and music as major activities. The strong emotions generated while worshipping the gods and the ancestors also provided an aesthetics of emotional arousal which we find at its core. This aesthetic value was formulated as catharsis. The dramatic theory in the Poetics of Aristotle can be said to consist of four principles of the ancient classificatory system. Firstly, the concept of mimesis, which is common to all fine arts. Secondly, the treatment of the various genres of poetry, namely epic, tragedy, and comedy. And thirdly, the division of tragedy into six elements: plot or mythos, character or ethos, thought or dainonia, language or lexis, music or metaphoria, and spectacle or opsis. And fourthly, cryptic system about catharsis upheld by Western critic tradition as a principle of Aristotelian aesthetics. The six elements of tragedy are to be seen as separate only for the sake of analysis. On the stage they form a unity. Again, for the sake of convenience, they have been defined by Aristotle as internal and external. Plot, character, and thought are subjective, hence internal. They are not as obvious as the visual and auditory content of theatre such as diction, music, and spectacle. Nor is it to be imagined that any one of them is more important than the other. When Aristotle calls myth the soul of tragedy, he does not mean that other elements are dispensable or less essential. The myth only holds together the other elements of the play structurally. In terms of total performance, a play has a very complicated structure which consists of all the speaking, gesturing, dancing, singing, and moving that goes on in the performing area. Yet the series of episodes or the story has been regarded as the basic structure of a play, even though it is merely the ground upon which many complex patterns are raised. Aristotle defines two kinds of plots, the simple and the complex. The first is without reversal of fortune and recognition of a past act or identity or person, and the second has the both. About dainonia, Aristotle says the inner questioning that goes on in the mind of a character and makes him choose one way or another is called dainonia. The ability to choose, the moral fiber or the courage to choose is called ethos, but the ferment of thoughts that leads to the point of choice is known as dainonia. Lexis and melancholia, though among the six cardinal elements of tragedy, have been given very little notice in the Poetics written by Aristotle. This has created the impression that they had a poor place in Greek theatre. Broadly speaking, characters in a tragedy had to be good men, and those in comedy and satire were mean persons. So all characters fall into the category of either admirable people or ludicrous folks. Aristotle has mentioned the qualities of the protagonist of a tragedy. The first requirement was his goodness, which his speeches must reflect in the shape of a moral purpose. This was required of even women and slaves. The second thing to aim at is propriety. There is a type of manly valor, but valor is a woman or unscrupulous cleverness is inappropriate. Aristotle wishes women to be subdued if they are to reflect goodness. Thirdly, a character must be true to life. This is a distinct thing from goodness and propriety, and here described. The fourth point is consistency. Aristotle not only described the genre of tragedy in its 6 parts, he recorded how these diverse parts made a whole. In spite of the fact that he dwelt very little on the musical and dance related parts of the art as they were practiced in this time, his enumeration of these as essential elements preserves for all future generations in the true nature of Greek tragedy. But for Aristotle's statement, we would have forgotten the input of spectacle and music and remembered only the value of plot as what survives through time in the verbal play. Text and not the practical art of production representing the unity of word, gesture, dance, and music.